Hey folks, Sega Sonic fan here. Today I've got something pretty cool to show you. We are going to be spot welding batteries. These batteries to be exact, or at least one of them. And I'm pretty excited about this. I've been wanting to spot weld batteries for a very long time, and it's only quite recently that it's become affordable to get a home spot welding machine. And I mean very affordable. You can get them as cheap as 20 bucks now, 20, 25, which is crazy. Super cool. For those that don't know what spot welding is, it's when you, well, it's kind of what the name implies, what it says. You're actually welding. Welding is when you're fusing metal together. Only in this case, you're doing it just on a little spot, little point welds. And this is how all batteries are assembled at a factory. There's these nickel strips, and they're put on like so, and then a very, very hot element spot welds points onto the battery to permanently put the nickel strip there. Now you might ask that and say, well, why not put it in a holder? Well, you know, if you have a rechargeable battery that, is not meant to be removed, then you're not going to go through the trouble of manufacturing an entire holder just for that. That makes no sense. It's a lot of space and extra cost. And then you might say, well, why don't you just solder it? Well, batteries, especially lithium-ion, do not respond well to heat. In fact, it supposedly decreases their battery life by quite a bit. Not only that, but the negative terminal of these batteries is actually the outer casing. So beneath this blue coating is actually a metal frame around it, and that's all ground. So sometimes it could take a very long time to heat that up. Sometimes you could do a little bit faster if you have flux or whatever, but it's not the easiest thing to do. It's bad for the battery, etc., etc. What's more, if you're soldering, you also create, of course, a little bulb of solder and usually a quite thick wire. And that can make it harder to fit it in the holders that it's designed for using nickel strips that are flat. And lastly, but perhaps most importantly, if you're soldering to a battery, you are usually, of course, going to be using a wire to conduct the current. When in fact, batteries and most high current loads actually deliver power most efficiently with a wide trace or a wide piece of metal. Wider metal carries current a lot better, and so for higher voltage you do thin stuff, and for low voltage high current you do wide traces. It's kind of the general rule. And so that actually decreases the resistance, which decreases a little bit of heat, but most importantly, prolongs the battery life. So those are all the reasons why spot welding is a good thing to do. So let's go ahead and do it. This, by the way, I'm going to be spot welding for this guy. This is a little contraption I had hacked up a number of years ago. It's actually lasted quite a long time. Where I really liked this shaver that I had. I've actually had this shaver, I think, since I was in high school. I've had this shaver forever. And, nostalgic, comfort, whatever. So instead of throwing, and I just don't like to throw things away. So I found another shaver that was broken, but had lithium-ion batteries. And so I swapped out that motherboard into here and used the old motor mechanism from the original shaver, which still works amazingly. And there you have it. The shavers worked up until very recently when the original battery, well, not the original, but the replaced battery, which I've been using for about, 6 or 7 years, finally bit the dust. Interesting thing to note about lithium-ion batteries, 18650s, of course, are the most common size, and that being for the longest time I didn't even realize that these numbers, this is a 14430 instead of an 18650, are completely arbitrary. They are just the measurements, the millimeter measurements of the casing. In this case, it's 14 millimeters horizontal, and I think 43 millimeters height, or vertical, if I'm remembering that correctly. But, so you can get these in all sizes, basically. It's totally arbitrary. And in this case, I thought it was like a AAA size, but it's actually a custom, slightly harder to find size. So we're going to put our parts aside, and we're going to do some spot welding. How are we going to do the spot welding? Well, we're going to use one of these. This is one of the new spot welding contraptions you can get. This is the new version, it charges over USB-C, which is pretty cool. It's got a single button, which can do manual spot welds and probably some settings. It's got your battery gauge, and it's got your power gauge and your battery and mode gauge on the top there. So I'll explain this all in a second. I got this for about 60 bucks, maybe 65 after taxes and shipping and stuff. And I'm pretty happy with it. It's got it has a bunch of lithium-ion batteries inside of it, so it's portable. My only complaint of it so far is that they did not include rubber feet. So you can see these leads are quite short, as they have to be because they're super high current spot welding. And so without the rubber feet, I kept pulling this off my desk while I was welding. Talk about something you don't want to be doing. So yeah, that's my only complaint, is rubber feet. Come on, guys. But aside from that, it's great. And as I've mentioned before in my videos, this is one of yet another cool inventions from China. And I know in the United States right now, there's a lot of negativity towards Chinese Americans in the country of China. And I just want to remind everyone that China's population does not always agree with its government. You know, governments do things differently from their people. And Chinese people are cool, man, and they invent amazing stuff like this. And can't count the number of amazing inventions that come out of China all the time. Electrical engineering would be not the same at all. And the hobbyist and the maker, the DIY stuff that we all love to do, the video game repairs, all of that stuff is enabled by Chinese engineers doing amazing work. So shout out to those folks. And without further ado, let's do some spot welding. Oh, sorry. Make sure you have safety goggles, folks. Ideally, I would have glass safety goggles because of the sparks that this thing creates. And I'm going to order some quite soon, actually, because I am doing this more and more. This is only my third time spot welding, so I'm by no means an expert at it. But I get the gist of the machine and, you know, am familiar with the concept. It's not super complicated. So, yeah, we'll get to it. And it's kind of a learning process as these things go. Putting on some gloves now just to be extra safe. Make sure you have a source of, you know, a clear fire escape, fire extinguisher, and a non-conductive mat when you're doing this, because this is a little dangerous. It's more dangerous than most things. It's a lot more dangerous than soldering, of course. And yeah, you want to be careful, right? You don't want to get hurt. So, by the way, what I'm going to be doing is, it's kind of hard to see here, but there were originally 2 tabs that soldered in there. And that's what these guys will be doing. What I'll do is I'll spot weld them to the battery first, and then I'll cut them to match those inserts a little better, hopefully. They don't have to be very long at all. And in fact, oh, they do have thinner stuff here. Yeah, I was going to say I should be using the thinner stuff because this is a really, you know, not a super high current battery using for a shaver. You know, it's decent current. You know, it's still nice to have the spot welds instead of the soldering, but you know. So get that all ready here, and I'm going to get my new helping hands that I have, which are super, well, helpful for this. These are magnetic, which is awesome, from the Koto company. This is not sponsored anyway, I just like the thing that I bought. And yeah, this is really, it's really quite helpful. In fact, I should move the base further away so I can hold the battery better. Well, actually, that's not big enough to hold the battery. I'm going to use my other vice clamp. If I can find it. All right. So actually, yeah, I'm going to do this. Spot welding is not really something I want to do without helping hands. It's just a little too dangerous for that. I'm sure some people out there can manage it just fine, but now I don't edit these parts of my videos, A, because I'm too busy to do that. Too busy to maybe making them as it is, but the other reason is I want people to know the kind of the work that is involved when you do repairs and things. All too often, videos online, people are kind of speeding through certain parts or omitting certain parts, and then people get the wrong idea for like how easy or difficult a certain thing is. And I like to show people, like, you know, how to do things, but also that, you know, it takes work. Not everything is a super fast 30-second video. So yeah, I'm going to hold that clamp in place, hold that battery in place with that clamp. And then I'm going to hold the nickel strip in place with this guy, hopefully. If this works correctly, I might move. So under this blue mat is a magnetic base, which the helping hands attach to quite nicely. And so I'm just moving that base to get a better setup here. And yeah, doing this first will make life easier when I'm actually, you know, doing the spot welds. Because when you're doing the spot welds, you have to hold 2 leads. So if you're also holding, you know, nickel strip and battery and leads, it's just a lot. Having the helping hands is good stuff. Okay, guess I can move that further there. That's a nice little placement, more or less. So how this machine works is quite simple. It's actually surprisingly simple. I forget which button it is. I think it's the one down here. No, it's not. It's the one up here. Hold this down for 2 seconds, and it will turn on. And so the yellow and the blank one next to it determines the mode. And there's automatic and manual mode. The red on the bottom is the power level. We're going to decrease that. That's really high. And the blue is your remaining battery. So 4 blue means I have full battery of 100%. 3 red instead of 6 red means I have 50% power. And yellow and then blank is either automatic or it's manual. I always forget. So we'll find out pretty quickly if it's automatic or not. When it's automatic, it will sense the conductivity of the 2 points together, and it will just make the spot weld on contact. When it's manual, you have to press a button. And as you can see, the leads are darn short. And that is the one tricky thing about this. You have to like really get this box super close. All right. So it is set to manual. The other thing I've noticed too is it's good to press down as flat as possible. So I'm just going to click that button once, the same button I turned it on with, and now it will be in automatic mode. And yeah, try to press it down real flat to get a good spot weld. And sometimes it's too strong and it goes through the nickel plate. So, you know, just learning as I go with these things. Boop, 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 boop. All right, we did one there. Was it super strong? Probably not. So I'm going to increase the power, I think, a bit. Also going to see if I can get this lighting a little better for you folks. And you see that's all it is. Just makes a little beep, does its little spot weld. It's pretty cool. Pretty simple. All right, hopefully you can see that a little better. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and raise the tripod as well. See if I can get you a nice view here. Because this is the cool part, you know? There we go. Isn't that better? Doesn't that make you want to support my Patreon that I don't actually have? Got a nice little spark that time. All right. And actually, I don't know. Is that good? The first one wasn't so hot because it wasn't actually on the nickel all the way. I'm going to crease it up 1 more % and then get those other 2 points. Nice little spark. Yeah, that didn't work quite so well. I'm going to do, because the problem is the positive terminals, there's not that much material, not as much material. There we go. Yeah, that's a nice spot weld. So carefully hang those down. And now that we've got our first spot weld all done, I'll just stick her into manual mode. Judging from the measurement on our board over here, we don't need much height at all or much length at all for the nickel strip. So I'm just going to cut it like so. And I can cut it a little better later. And we're done with side 1. Easy peasy. There's a look at our spot weld. It's pretty good. The most perfect spot weld in the universe ever. Maybe not, but it's going to do the job just fine for my little shaver. And I'll put this back up over here now. With the helping hands and the vice clamp stuff, I always like hate to bring it out. It feels so annoying for some reason, but it's like a little bit of extra setup time, and then it really helps you. It really helps you in the long run. So learning to do these things more. All right, so the cut is a little bit off center, but it's really not of the strip. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. All right, so we're going to put this back into automatic mode. And same thing as before. Get one side down as flat as I can, holding the strip. Get the other one down. Oh, whoops. Push down the vice clamp. That's not what I want to do. Got to tighten this a little bit here. Vice clamp, vice grip. Am I saying it wrong? What's tomato, tomato? Okay. One side. Oh, geez. Noob mistake about to have made. I got this guy pointing towards me and I was about to make the spot weld the other direction, which really isn't going to help me attaching it to this board, so. Noob mistake, almost. Caught it just in time. And, you know, as I said, I'm still new to this, learning as I go, not to make little mistakes like that. I have to loosen this clamp to double check the positioning here. Make sure it aligns with the helping hands as much as I can. All right. Let's try this again. There we go. All right. Wish I shown that a little bit better to y'all watching this video, but yeah, this light's not working in my favor now, is it? That's a little better. So yeah, you heard those beeps. We got 2 spot welds on there. I'll go ahead and do a third, mostly for the sake of this video. So I'm going to put one down flat and then one below it. Now the one below it I did kind of angle for the purposes of the video, but I try to get that one flat normally too. And yeah, that's a really solid spot weld. So I'm just going to shut this off. By the way, try to charge this as much as possible, because even if you're only doing a few spot welds, you'll see it'll go through that battery pretty fast, because obviously you're welding. It takes a lot of juice. All right, so now we can undo the helping hand, undo the vice clip, clamp, whatever we want to call it. Looks like I got that pretty even there, which is the one thing I was worried about. And we can move our light back over here. Okay. Go ahead and cut this one a little bit better now. And there you go, folks. A nice factory-like spot welded battery. Look at that. Couldn't even tell the difference if it came from a factory. And that's going to go in here, if I remember the polarity. In fact, is it labeled? Got plus and minus over here, but I think those are actually for the power connector. So, anywho, I'm going to have to do a little bit of sleuthing work to figure out the actual positive minus terminals, but I don't think you're watching this video to see if I fix my razor or not. It's not the exciting part. The exciting part is the spot welding, and I'm sure the spot welding is good. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the positive, and what I'll do is I'll cut these down if I need to. Can probably just, you know what? Yeah, see, I mean, what it's going to do basically is you have this point here, if you can see the solder, That's where the two tabs go. And that little foam stuff underneath was just to hold the battery, you know, vibration and everything from the razor. An electric shaver. So yeah, normally you have tabs that poke through those holes. So if I really want, I might trim down the metal there to poke through those holes. I don't think I need to though. I can get it flush and then use just some solder to get it on there real nicely. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it, learning how to spot weld. And if you want to see more videos like this, leave a comment. It's nice to hear from folks. I don't really care if you like or subscribe. YouTube doesn't give me any money, and they have tons of advertising that they now put on free videos, which I don't like. So I'm debating moving more to Vimeo. This might be on Vimeo first, for all we know. Anyway, have fun hacking and repairing things. This is Sega Sonic Fan, signing out.